if you take all the people that you think are successful, and success doesn't have to be money or status. In fact, it probably shouldn't if those are the only things that they have going for them, but also their fulfillment and their happiness. Um, you'll find that all of them, pretty much all of them, have a least common denominator that they build their base upon. Um, and that base, without it, you'll find that it's almost impossible to reach your potential. And usually that base consists of three main things. The first is sleep. The second is nutrition, their diet. Not diet, but what they eat on a daily basis. And the third is their exercise. And you might be wondering, what does that have to do, let's say you are in a band. Like, what does that have to do with me composing the most creative and thought-provoking and the best possible music that I can think of, that I can come up with? And in many ways, it's best and most simple to take a ball, for example. So this is a ball, a slow cross ball, and it is consistent. It consists of rubber. It's entirely rubber, and how the rubber was formed was there's a mold that they pour rubber into. And how do they heat the rubber? They have fire. But all three of those components, all three of those methods of manufacturing this ball, they are not the ball. The ball is the sum of all of its parts. Okay? In the same way, the three things that I mentioned, the sleep, the nutrition, and the exercise, are the sum of you. Because your body is a vessel for your mind. And your mind is what reaches your potential. Even if it's physical, even if it's a sport. Even though the body is doing the action, it is the mind, the higher brain, that controls the body and the limbic system. So, this ball, its purpose is to bounce, or to be thrown, I guess, it's a little cross ball. But it bounces very high. And all three of those things contribute to its goal, the purpose of the ball, the self, which is to bounce. So the reason why these three things are so important is mostly for recovery purposes, recovery of your mind. Exercise is a very therapeutic exercise. Exercise is a very therapeutic exercise. Yes, exercise is very therapeutic, especially if you're doing it, without any music. If you're just focusing on the exercise itself, and you don't have to take this to the extreme. You don't have to become a power lifter with their insane 3-4 hour long workouts, or an ultra marathon runner or something like that. It could literally be as simple as walking an hour a day. Whatever you like, find what you like. And I often find that in myself and others, that exercise is usually their favorite. The more they do it, the more they love it. And I think it's, in the long run, the easiest to implement. The diet can be tricky. In these westernized countries, most people consume way too many calories, and despite that, a lot of them are actually malnourished. It's no surprise that eating Taco Bell or McDonald's or any fast food every day probably will not give you the balance of nutrients that you need. That is only possible through whole foods, through a variety of different meats, vegetables, and breads, rices, stuff like that. I would say any food is good for you as long as it is grown. The only really bad food that I would say, off limits food that you should try and avoid to the best of your ability, is anything processed or anything with added sugar. There's lots of studies coming out that are, I guess, testifiably proving with statistically significant methods that it's these types of things, specifically sugar and processed foods, that age your body at a much faster rate. And to avoid those is an immense benefit for yourself in the short term and the long term. If you haven't ever eaten relatively whole foods, just try it out for a week. Exercise the willpower to do so, and I'm pretty sure you'll be convinced as to how much better you feel. It really is a night and day difference. And the final thing, and in my opinion the most important thing, is sleep. The body works in a very interesting way. It dedicates 1/3 of its life exclusively to recovery of both the brain and the physical, the self, the body, both the body and the self. And that's incredibly interesting because it's essentially giving up 1/3 of its available time, which is not long to begin with, to heal itself. And there's a very it's a very sophisticated system for doing it. It's very interesting, I think, at least. And to cut into that time is incredibly detrimental, both in my opinion and the opinion of many other people who sleep properly. I know that there will always be overachievers and other people that claim that sleep is for the weak, or I don't need sleep, just work harder, blah blah blah. But getting less than 7 hours of sleep, you're leaving a lot of mental processing power on the table. If you know how a computer works, you have the CPU, and you're essentially bottlenecking your CPU. You are on purpose restricting its output. It's incredibly unproductive, and it's just stupid. You're basically sacrificing short-term happiness for staying up later for short-term benefit. It's not even like it's long-term benefit. It is short-term benefit. You will feel the effects of sleep right away when you wake up the next morning. And all this stuff compounds. Sure, doing all three of these things might only make you 10 to 15% better one day, but here's an interesting experiment for you all. If you're at your computer or your phone, open up something called the future value calculator, and let's say you're measuring your output without sleep at 1,000, and let's say you do all these three things. You sleep well, you eat well, and you exercise, and it makes you 15% better. So put in 15%, and then put that over a period of 365 days. And I think you'll be incredibly surprised as to how much more that is than just 1,000 times 365.